So they use the river as their means of transportation. And now, because we don't have ferries in this place, we don't have modern boats in this place. They use their local boats built from wood and that are old and rickety. You keep hearing of boat mishaps every now and then. It tells you that there's a huge infrastructure gap. Now, when it now comes to some of these communities live by the bank of the river Niger. For example, there's a community called Ketso. Thankfully, they've been relocated to a higher ground right now, but the people still go back there to farm. They literally have two houses, two homes right now. Once it's farming season, they go there to farm. Once they're done, they move to the higher ground. I think solutions like this can really help resettling people and relocating them. It's a major thing that needs to happen. Get people away, and I think there needs to be enforcement. If you keep telling people to leave floodplains, they won't leave. People have all manner of excuses. There are those that tell you that no, it's an ancestral land, that they can't live there. This is the land that their fathers gave them. Their farmlands are around this place. Then there are those that tell you that that's where they can afford, that they can't afford to go to the town to live and all of that. But if, as a government, you keep permitting this, when the disaster happens, the first blame will come to the government for not enforcing their instructions. So I think compared to other flood disasters that I've covered, I think this is quite huge. At least in the other ones, when the water begins to come, the people they sometimes they know early and then they're able to run and it just consumes their homes. But this particular one, the people were in their homes, it was at night and the rains began to fall and they couldn't escape it. So that's a big thing. But what the government can do is to ensure that these people leave on the floodplains and they need to enforce it.
Well, Chenemi, you've actually painted different pictures, different images, and one cannot but wonder and imagine the scale of the magnitude of disaster that had happened, in Mokwa. But beyond the stats, and some of these grim stories or pictures, what exactly stuck with you? You've actually, were there voices? You've told us about, someone who lost a child, lost a family, relations, etc. Even maybe farmer losing everything. What story actually stuck with you, really, that makes you wonder, maybe not able to sleep at night, that brought home just how personal this disaster is for you?
Ibrahim, I think it was the lady that I spoke to yesterday. So yesterday, aid began to come. And then because I'd already said that there was no aid, and when the aid came, I had to go and film it and report it, to bring a balance. And I was looking for a woman to talk to just to create some gender balance in my report. And then I called this young lady and I asked her, so how does she feel receiving aid today? And then she just told me how they're giving them some bags of rice, and then they are planting their house. And so I was just let to ask her what she suffered in the disaster, and then she began to cry. She said she lost her child, she lost her mother, she lost her brother's wife. And at that point, as a journalist, I felt like I shouldn't have asked this question. But personally, I didn't know that that was what she was going through. And she's actually a young lady. I mean, very, very young. And then when I go back home, I kept thinking about this particular girl, and how I keep imagining every time what she's going through right now. The mother that she came to meet to comfort her or to help her put to bed safely is gone. The child is gone. And then her family members too are gone. And the other guy that I talked about earlier that told me that, in fact, there's another guy, Ibrahim. He said when the rains began, he was trying to rescue people, only for him to return. And he asked his neighbor, say, where are their families? Because he and his neighbor went to rescue other people. And then they said two of his own children had gone with the water. So he was able to rescue just two. When I was talking to him, he just placed his hand on his head like this. So this is somebody that tried to save other people, but his own family was suffering, and then he lost two of his children. These are the stories that you go back home and then you're thinking about how these people are surviving. But something else that stuck with me, Ibrahim, is the resilient spirit of these people. If you
So
come to this place,
yeah, carry on. Sorry.
while talking to these people, you wouldn't believe that these people have lost so much like this. I mean, they have a resilient spirit. You can see them talking to you. You're not hearing, people are not wailing around. I mean, people are not, you know that these people are grieving, but you could see that there's still strength on their inside. And I think it's something that we Africans have and Nigerians, we have this resilience. We know how to push on with life no matter what is going on or no matter what is happening to us. And I truly thank God for that. And I commend the people for for not letting this weigh them down completely. I mean, they are very willing to continue with life. You could hear them say, just give us, because some of them are farmers, just give us where to stay and we'll continue with life. So I really commend them for their resilience.
That's an amazing story, and it's a whole lot for the entire world to learn from, not just within Nigeria, but across the globe. But the question on the lips of people is, yes, the vice president has been there, the president has spoken, there have been some relief items, etc. But what about the governor of the state?
Okay, so the governor of the state is on pilgrimage. I think so. He's on pilgrimage. Hajj is currently going on right now in Saudi Arabia. So he's on pilgrimage. I guess that's the only reason I can give for not
Uh,
seeing him there. Yes.
has
He's
there
on
been
pilgrimage.
statements from his office
So,
regarding
sorry.
this? Has there been statements from his office regarding this?
Oh yes, his press secretary has put out a number of press releases, commiserating with the people, and his deputy has been here quite a number of times. I mean, at least three times. I've been in this community, so he has visited at least three times with different. He came with I think he came on his own. Then he came with the minister for works. Then he came with the vice president today, and he's been quite much frequent in this place. So I think, and then for the first time, we saw the Etunope here today. I think it's fair. That's all I can say. The visit has been fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We actually got some comments from our viewers correctly, but something happened, and then we kind of lost the comments. But so we encourage that they send more comments so that we can take them, even questions, before we allow Chenemi to go back to his field of work. But Chenemi, if you look at the impact of this, we've seen schools submerged, communities displaced. What's the impact on children's education in the affected areas? Have learning activities resumed? Or are children still out of class indefinitely? Chenemi, are you there? Yeah, I'm afraid we lost connection with Chenemi again. Hopefully, it will join us back. He's been giving us different, starts, issues, aftermath of the incident, the flooding incident that happened in Mokwa, Niger State, where 200 people or persons lost their lives and thousands have been displaced and critical infrastructure swept away. He had actually painted a picture of all the scale of devastation, which has sparked both humanitarian concern and national reflection. He also told us about the people, despite the incident that happened, despite the flooding, despite the crises that have happened, um, people are already getting back to life as if nothing ever happened. Chinemi, are you back? Hello, Chinemi.
So I didn't get that. Yeah, I can
Right.
hear you now. I
Yeah, I
can
just
hear
wanted to
you.
confirm whether you're back because we lost you momentarily, and it's good to have you back. I was asking about,
I'm back.
yeah, I was asking about the education, in Mokwa, because we've seen schools submerged, communities displaced, and I'm asking what impact this has had on children's education in the affected areas. Have learning activities resumed, or children are still out of class, indefinitely?
Oh, okay. So I've not I've not seen any school destroyed as a result of this particular flood. Um, all I've seen, I didn't hear. It's not something I've even paid attention to. All I heard was that houses was submerged, but I don't think there was any school in that area. The primary school, in fact, there's no school on that route. The primary school, the two primary school in the community, schools in the community, I beg your pardon, are the places where they're using as IDP camps right now. And that on its own definitely is going to affect learning. Um, Once there is need for a camp, an IDP camp to be set up, the first place that they always think about is schools. I don't know whether we don't actually think about the impact it will have on education on the children's learning. And funny enough, once they get into schools like that, it's difficult to come out. I've visited different IDP camps in Niger State that use school. It's almost like a forgotten story, such that the children now share classroom with IDP with displaced person. In fact, there's a particular IDP camp in Guada in Shiroro. When you go to that school, half of the school, some classrooms in the school have been donated to house displaced persons, and some classes are being used for school. And then the displaced persons will sleep there in the night, and in the morning they will move out so that learning can happen. Now, if you know anything about school environments, how it is cultured, and how it's supposed to affect the mind of the child, and how it is designed to impact the child, you will know that this is definitely not good. I went to a particular primary IDP camp, a primary school, and there was a hunter's gun hanging on the wall, and there are pots behind the classroom. And the first thing I told my colleague was that a child coming to this place to learn, what do you want the child to be thinking about? Now compare that with the kind of school your children are attending, where you have flowers, where you have shapes on the wall, where you have a very conducive environment. So what kind of education do you want these children to have? So I think government must learn to desist from making schools the first option when it comes to housing displaced persons. We know that they need help, we know, but there's got to be some plan on ground. Schools cannot be the first options. I've gone to places where schools have been converted to military bases. Education is no longer going on in that place again. And some of these schools, that's the only one that you have in the community. And I'm not even telling you stories. I've been to these places. The only school in the community is now a military base, a temporary base for soldiers that are protecting the community. So I mean, we need to do more, and desist from the habit of picking schools that is at camp for displaced people every time there is some form of displacement.
That's right. Yeah. Before I let you go, Chenemi, finally,
Can you tell
well,
me?
yeah, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, Chenemi. Can you hear me as well? Hello, can you hear me, Chenemi?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Right. I said before I let you go, what are people in Mokwa asking for most, right now, beyond relief materials? Is there a growing demand for relocation, rebuilding, or even legal action against negligence?
Can you say that again?
I said, what are people in Mokwa asking for most? What are they asking for most right now, beyond the relief materials, rice, whatever? Is there a growing demand for
Okay, so
relocation, rebuilding, or even legal action against negligence?
sorry, the network keeps slipping, but if I heard you
Mm,
clearly, you said, what are the people of Mokwa asking for, right
yeah,
now?
yeah. What are
What
they?
they're asking for
Yeah, that's right.
majorly,
Yeah.
yeah, the survivors are asking for shelter. In fact, I spoke to someone yesterday and he said um, he's living with his friend, his wife is living with someone else, and his father is living with another person, and that all that they need is just shelter. Once you give them the shelter, they are able to get back to their normal life, they're able to get back to their activities that brings them money, and then they can take care of themselves, and also apart away from the survivors, the people that live here are asking for improvements in infrastructure. I mean, this is quite germane. the road that I told you about, the bridge that I told you about, appears to be the only one. If it would be nice if there are other routes that connect these parts of the country to ease traffic in these areas and to ease the burden on this infrastructure. Also, power. You have the Kainji Dam around there. You have the Jeba Dam not so far from this place, but they still complain of epileptic power supply in this place. So once there is power, I'm sure that so much can be done. This place is a lively place. If you've been to Lagos, you can you can consider this place to be like let's say like excuse me, like Ojota, yeah, where people don't sleep. Every now and then you have people moving. That's how this place is like. So there's got to be some ways that the government can tap into this, provide certain infrastructure for the people that can help them explore their potentials. And also a quick one for the government: trucks go along these roads every day. They can improve the infrastructure, set up tolls, set up a toll gate where you can start charging these trucks, build trailer parks in this place. One of the major problems in this road is traffic congestion. Trust me, Ibrahim, if you are going to be traveling along this route every time, there's just one concern on your mind, and it is traffic. Because a lot of these trucks pull over by the wayside, either to rest or to refresh or to service their engines. Now, there is no trailer park around this place. If the government is able to build trailer parks around this place, it will ease the congestion on the road. These trailers can move into those places, their drivers can go and refresh, they can service there are trucks there. You can have mechanics there to check. You can have people that fix electrical issues, and all of that. These are necessary infrastructure that should be built along or around this corridor to improve the life of the people that live in this place.
Right, interesting developments. And thank you, Chenemi Bamaiyi, senior reporter at TVC News, for those sobering insights and for your courageous reporting from the front lines of Mokwa's flood disaster. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim, for having me. It's been an interesting conversation thus far. Thank you so much.
Right, keep close tabs on this for us. But then what we have heard today is more than just a story of water and loss. It's a story of people left vulnerable by systemic gaps, climate extremes, and often institutional neglect. As Nigeria stares down the realities of a changing environment, the question is no longer other disasters, or no longer whether disasters like this will happen, but how prepared we are when they do. So I hope that conversations like this spark more than sympathy. They must spark solutions from town planning and infrastructure to policy and accountability. The time to act is long overdue. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Thank you for staying with us. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and stay engaged. Bye for now.